Hold on, stop. Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What's going on, and welcome to Take on the World podcast with your hosts, Lexi,
Mike D,
And everybody hates John.
Johnny B.
you are a Thunder Stealer. Thunder Stealer.
I had to do it this week.
That's cool.
I had to do it this week.
That's cool.
It was good.
So, what is going on?
What is going on?
Lexi's eating pizza, and
Have
me and
pizza?
John have not eaten.
I haven't eaten yet either. That's why I got pizza. I'm not eating the pizza right now, though. I did take 3 bites. It was delicious. It's a very good pizza. I highly recommend it. Probably from Aldi.
We have 2 podcast therapy dogs.
Yes, yes.
Coco's lurking over there,
Scooby-Doo.
and Ali,
Of course, Aldi.
Hondro. There's the Coco. Anyway, so what happened all the way? What'd you guys do this week?
This week, nothing.
And nothing here, and?
Well, I have done quite a few things this week. I started playing Magic the Gathering again, which is a card game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nerd.
yes. I also am playing a text-based RPG game called Masks.
Nerd.
It's very fun. You are essentially a teenage superhero. And,
I was a teenage superhero, by the way.
and you have a team, and you and your team have obviously different missions to do and everything like that. But since I came in the middle of the game, instead of like races and classes, they have playbooks. The playbook that I'm using is The Outsider, and essentially, like, think Starfire from Teen Titans is kind of what it's based off of. So I'm like an alien. I'm super awesome. I love it. It's so much fun. And I'm already building some more characters to hopefully play in the near future. I also started playing Smite again. It's just the week where I do all of the nerd things. Smite is a MOBA, which is a multiplayer online battle arena.
Mm-hmm.
Nerd. That's essentially all I've been doing this week, and work, but that's boring. So
Okay. So,
what's our topic for today, Michael?
our topic for today is the second.
Shame!
Thank you.
Shame!
It's the nerd shame. By the way, this pomegranate Hefeweizen tastes very good with the pizza.
Thank you for
Wouldn't
rubbing
know.
that in.
Wouldn't know.
No, we weren't offered a Heffy or a pizza.
We both already had beers when I got here, and you're both adults, so you are more than
You got
welcome
the
to go
beer
get
for
yourself
me.
pizza.
And she's like, go fuck yourself. And I got a slice for myself.
Yeah.
And go fuck yourself twice.
And I got a Rutter's hot dog in the microwave right now, which is mine.
We'll go eat it.
No, I was saying that as you,
Oh, I don't, though.
metaphorically.
Okay. So today's topic is the second Pearl Harbor attack. Did either of you guys know there was a second attack on Pearl Harbor?
No.
Yes.
I thought it was once and done. Why would they do it again? There's fucking...
Well,
It worked the first time.
We'll get to that, Mr. Jump Ahead. So, Sunday morning, 8 a.m., December 7th. A date which will live in infamy.
No, hang on.
Excuse me.
Let us attack Pearl Harbor again with less planes and less ammunition. Since it went so well the first time.
It did go so well the first time for the Japanese.
No, it didn't.
Really?
Do you know
Yeah,
anything
you
about
remember-
Pearl Harbor, my dude? Pearl Harbor was an absolute disaster for America, and it's the reason that we entered the war.
Whoa. Slow your roll, pizza roll.
Pizza slice today, thank
Pizza
you.
Slice. Yeah, you know what? It got us into the war, and it was terrible. There was a lot of loss of life, but in the end, it was a Japanese disaster. When they did, like, half of the fleet was out to sea, so really what they gained? Nothing. And then when they came back to, like, yeah, we just fucked up. We fucked up big time.
Well, they knew that they were waking the sleeping giant.
Oh, Godzilla!
Yeah.
They knew that they were waking the dragon for those Game of Thrones.
So everybody knows December 7th, 1941. No matter where you are age-wise, everybody knows about the Pearl Harbor attack. Everybody's seen the movies. 353 Imperial Japanese fighters, level bombers, dive bombers, and torpedo bombers launched from 6 Japanese aircraft carriers and attacked the then neutral United States. Now, they weren't quite neutral because they were doing stuff to help Great Britain.
Well, right, neutral is in, like, we're not participating in the war, but here you go, I guess.
Well, yeah, they also had pilots in China, the Flying Dragons, which is the unit that Pappy Boyington from Black Sheep Squadron came from. Anyway, they attacked the naval base at Pearl Harbor, Honolulu, Hawaii. The Japanese saw this as a measure to weaken the U.S. Pacific Fleet because they figured it was just a matter of time till they got into the war, and they thought if they could break the back of the Americans, take away the morale, and
You're prefacing this. This is the first attack.
this is the first. I'm going over the first attack.
Right. That's all right.
So
I'm gonna clear that up.
that's what I said. December 7th. Everybody knows that date. Everybody knows it. So messed me all up. Okay.
You're gonna do it. Break the back of the Americans.
Yeah. So they wanted to break America's morale. If you get attacked on American soil, they felt that the American people would just give up. And I guess they just don't know Americans at the time. So Pearl wasn't the only place hit. Over the next 7 hours, the Japanese coordinated attacks on the U.S.-held Philippines, Guam, Wake Island, and then British-held territories of Malaya, Singapore, and Hong Kong. I didn't know that they hit the Philippines, Guam, and Wake Island then.
No,
The same day. You don't ever hear that. You just hear Pearl Harbor because it was so successful in what they were attempting to do from the onset of it. So the attack destroyed 188 U.S. aircraft. It killed 2,403 Americans and wounded 1,178 more. 8 Navy battleships were damaged. 4 were sunk. All were raised again, except with the exception of the USS Arizona, which still lays on the seafloor and went down. It's a permanent memorial there now. And it's a memorial to not just the men who lost their life on the Arizona, but to all the ships that were attacked that day in Pearl Harbor.
Dude, now, let me kind of change the story here. It still has to do with this, but I never knew. Now, you knew about this. If you were a living member, I don't know if there's any more, of the USS Arizona.
I think they just put the last one on.
And you died, you have the option of being cremated, and then a Navy diver will
take you
back into the ship and bury you into the ship.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fucking badass.
Yes, it is.
That's fucking
And
badass.
I actually think the last surviving crew member from the ship was just buried there not too long ago.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, somewhere, my mom has a picture of my grandfather. He was standing on top of the memorial. He was there. He was, I don't know what ship he was on or where he was. And I
At
remember,
Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
Like in it?
In Pearl Harbor, yeah.
Cool.
And,
I mean, not cool, but you know.
I do believe, I remember my sister, like, he never talked about it, ever. And I would ask him, hey, what ship are you on? Oh, those many ships. I'm like, come on, Grandpa, come on. You know, he says,
Grandpa, come on, Grandpa.
But,
back in my day.
Yeah. No, he was cool as shit. But, I guess she interviewed him for some kind of, like, school project.
So did I.
And
I did
he
that.
said that he was there, like, you just remember it's like guys like in the fetal position crying as the Japanese are flying over and shooting and bombing.
Yeah.
And he was yelling at a guy like, "Get the fuck up, get on that gun, shoot." The guy wouldn't move. He's like crying for his mom, and he just went over to the gun and started pop, 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 just shooting at Japanese. And then that was all I ever heard about that. He never talked about it ever.
I mean, I think that is common. I think there's two sides where, for instance, I did that same project, and I spoke to my great-grandmother's boyfriend, George. I loved him.
George Jackson. God rest his soul.
He was a beautiful person, beautiful human. Nanny, not a fan of my colored hair, but she never says anything about it anymore because George told me it was great and that I should do whatever makes me happy. And so I loved George. He was an amazing person.
He fought at the Battle of the Bulge.
Battle of the Bulge. Yep. And I feel like there are two different sides where I had heard George talk about this before, which is why I asked him if I could interview him. But then I feel like there's also people that are just like, I don't want to remember this time in my life. Like, it was a very traumatic experience for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a very normal response.
I think that's the one thing that I wish I would have done was like been able to interview my grandfather. Even though he didn't talk about it, I'm sure I probably could have, like, just respectfully gotten his story out of it.
Right. But like, just what happened with him.
I know he was on some merchant marine ship as a Navy. He was in the Navy, but the merchant marines would recruit or take Navy sailors, gunners.
Right, because they know how to be on a boat.
Right, and well, their boats had guns on them. So they're taking all that shit from the States to Europe on merchant when they were armed. So he was a gunner on, like, and that's why he probably said, I was on many ships. I was on this ship. I was on that. I even think, I swear to Christ, I think he said he was on, like, one of them little PT boats, like, taking guys, like, to shore.
Yeah.
Like Marines to shore and, like.
The amphibious landers.
I don't know how that works. Is that a Navy guy that drives that boat, or is that another Marine?
No, it's a Navy ship. So
I don't know, whatever. I would love to know
more about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Of those 8 battleships that were damaged, 6 of the ships were later returned to service. The Japanese took the base completely by surprise, and their losses were very light. The Japanese only lost 29 planes, 5 mini-subs, and 64 servicemen. Which, that's a lopsided victory.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't nearly have half the numbers that we had. Like, how many aircraft carriers did the Japanese have versus us?
Well, they launched from 7? So 6 Japanese aircraft carriers just for this attack.
Yeah.
So this act is the act that formally drew the United States into World War II, a declaration of war on December 8th, 1941. The same day the British Empire declared war on Japan. On December 11th, Germany, Italy, and Japan declared war on the United States. Like, yeah, okay, we want to declare war, and those other declare war on you too.
Yeah, like, guys, come on. Like, we weren't even doing anything. You attacked us. What do you expect?
This is all well-known information, and while the details may be fuzzy for some people, like, I didn't know how many planes took off. I didn't know how many casualties the Japanese had, but, everybody knows of this story of the surprise attack. The story's been told so many times through Hollywood movies and history classes.
Is Pearl Harbor the one that they say that, like, the Japanese just, like, don't even, like, talk about it? Like, when they teach, like, in school?
Well, there's a lot of stuff like that in Japanese schools, and
which I understand.
In Germany, the German schools don't teach some stuff either.
Well, I mean, like, on one hand, like, it makes sense, like, I don't know, like, we kind of were shitty, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, like, we still learn about, like, the Civil War and all the kind of questionable things that happened in America.
Well, it's culture.
I get it. It's a different culture, but it's just, like, it's so crazy to me. Like, are there things that, like, we don't learn about in school?
I'm sure there are.
It's insane to me.
You ever learn about the second attack on Pearl Harbor?
No.
Okay. So there are things. What many may not know is the Japanese took another run at Pearl Harbor in an effort to not only break the United States Navy's back, but defeat the spirit of the American people and Americans. They figured if they hit them again in the same spot,
They'll
while they
never
were rebuilding,
expect it.
that it would just demoralize completely. So the plan was called Operation K, or Operation K-1 by the Japanese Naval High Command. The planning for it began shortly after December 7th attack on Pearl. The stated intent was reconnaissance of rebuilding effort and to disrupt the salvage and repair efforts by hitting Pearl's 1010 dock, and they call it the 1010 dock because it's 1,010 feet. 1010. Plans to bomb California and Texas were also discussed.
California. Texas? Why Texas?
Because you can get to it from the Gulf.
California and Texas are also like two of the largest states in America.
Bro, you blew up a fucking cow farm.
Where?
Job.
Where? In Texas? There's a lot of stuff in Texas.
I was surprised to know that they had the fourth largest city in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
So they put those two attacks on hold, on the back burner, because they felt they needed to know where we were at in rebuilding the Pacific Fleet in Pearl. They needed to know the extent of damage and repairs to ships, docks, yards, airfields to determine the capability of the U.S. Pacific Fleet for planning Japanese naval strategy. The Japanese considered this a key to a victory in the Pacific. This is kind of jumping ahead, but Operation K was the longest sorties ever planned without fire escorts. So this is where it kind of gets interesting for me. The plan called for the use of 5 Kawashini H-8K flying boats, known by the Allies as Emily. They would fly to French frigate shoals, refuel by submarine, and then take off for Oahu. The plan called for timing to coincide with the full moon to help illuminate the targets on Pearl, but it also depended on clear skies and calm weather. If successful, they were going to plan additional raids to that area. Now, the Emily is basically a seaplane. When we were in Saipan, did we mention we were in Saipan?
I don't think so.
Only like 37,000 times.
Okay. When we were in Saipan, when I was there the second time.
When he was there in Saipan that he was at.
The second time.
The second time.
I went scuba diving, and I actually dove an Emily wreck right off of Saipan.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me that.
And the funny thing is to get these flying boats to the French frigate shoals, they took a trip from one of the Japanese islands to Saipan, and then flew someplace else, and then flew to the French frigate shoals.
Saipan, which he was in twice.
And I was thinking, wouldn't it have been neat if one of these crashed there and that's the one I dove?
Right?
That's not what happened, but it would have been neat.
It would have been cool. It would have been cool. What are you doing? You gonna choose where you're going? You're just gonna stand on the table?
So
Shake profusely.
The execution of this plan went far from planning. Like everything was off rail for both sides. Like, although the Americans weren't planning for the attack, there were so many mistakes made that it almost made it successful for the Japanese. And the Japanese, in turn, made so many mistakes or so many things happened that caused it to not be as significant as it could have been. Including, did you know during the first Pearl Harbor attacks that there was communication intercepts, and they knew it was coming, but the information wasn't passed down properly?
Yes.
So there was something called was it the wind codes? Do I have it in here?
The wind talkers.
No, it was wind codes because that's the first thing I thought was wind talkers. They were weather reports, and the Japanese would transmit weather reports to their fleet, and within these weather reports, they would embed codes, and there were people who were listening to these and breaking these codes, and they figured out they were talking about the weather at Pearl on December 7th. In fact, Pearl Harbor, the command there kind of knew that it was possible for the Japanese to do this as early as like 1932. They did drills where they would surprise attack or simulate an attack on the base. So on December? No, it was just 1932. They did training attacks simulating 152 planes a half hour before dawn on a Sunday. So, like, kind of just the way it was. This training caught the defenders by complete surprise. In 1938, Admiral Ernst King led a carrier-borne airstrike from the USS Saratoga against Pearl Harbor. Again, it caught him completely by surprise, and it would have been a successful attack. Let's see. This is just talking about the warnings that they had for the Pearl attack. As early as January 1941 for the first Pearl attack.
So, in January of 1941,
yes,
they knew that there was going to be an attack, potentially.
Yes.
And they didn't really do anything.
Well, the information wasn't disseminated properly.
Well, right, but that's part of not doing anything.
Well, yeah. Like, I don't disagree. Like, it's just like with the War on Terror when it first started. Like, one agency was like they weren't allowed to transfer information to another agency, and there was stuff passed that was supposed to make that easier, but stuff still slips through the cracks. On January 27th, 1941, some Peruvian envoy to Tokyo told the secretary at the U.S. Embassy that he had learned from intelligence sources that a war plan involving surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. This information was sent to the State Department and Naval Intelligence and Admiral Kimmel in Hawaii. So they disseminated that information, but like there was no information as to when it could be. So the Japanese were planning on attacking us
for like 10 years.
For a full year.
What? If they were hearing things as early as
41.
No, but you said earlier it was like 9. They were.
What? They knew that Pearl was susceptible to attack, so they ran these drills. It was on March 31st, 1941. The Naval report predicted that if Japan made war on the U.S., gonna make love on you.
Gonna make war all over your face.
Gross.
They would strike Pearl Harbor without warning at dawn with aircraft from a maximum of 6 carriers. So, and that's exactly what happened.
Like, literally, that's what happened. Exactly.
On December 10th, 1941, or August 10th, 1941, a British agent codenamed Tricycle. I want my secret spy code to be Tricycle. John, what's yours?
I like to ride my trike. I like to ride my tricycle.
No.
Whatever.
What's your secret spy name there, John?
Yeah, what's your secret spy name?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Code name Bacon.
Oh, you put me on the spot. I have a different. I don't know. Ass Prowler.
Code name Bigfoot's bitch.
Sasquatch.
So codename Tricycle told the FBI that a planned attack on Pearl Harbor would occur very soon.
Get down to the harbor.
The habit.
Harbor.
Earlier that fall, Kilso Han,
Kilsu?
an agent for Sino-Korean People's League,
Yeah, probably Kilsu.
told CBS News that in the underground of Japan, Korea, he had positive proof the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor before Christmas.
Really quick. Kilsu Han's middle name was Kenneth.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Kilsu Kenneth Han was a Korean nationalist, intelligence operative, anti-Japanese agitator.
Agitator?
Agitator. I'm like, what?
Did he strick somebody?
And both the source and translator of Kinoaki Matsuo's contested and controversial book, The Three Power Alliance, and A United States-Japanese War. He was born May 31st, 1900. That's so interesting to me. He was 76 years old when he died. That's insane. I just think it's weird that he was, like, anybody that was born in 1900, that's weird to me.
Why?
Because it's such an even number to be born.
Oh, just the year 1900.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Just the year 1900. Well, now I have to, he's going to be my topic for next week. I have to do some research on him. On Kilsu Kenny Han.
So this is the important part of all this. The morning of December 7th at 0700, new radar equipment showed a large blip on the screen. When reported,
it's a big old Japanese penis coming for you.
When it was reported, he was advised that the operator was advised that no one was available and they would call back. When he got the call back,
He's taking a crap.
hey, he's on the shitter.
And you know what? This fucking ship change is bullshit. We used to start at 7:30. I ain't answering the fucking phone. Fuck you.
What? That's insane.
So when he received his call back, Lieutenant Kermit Tyler?
What's his code name? The Frog?
I don't know. El Gran Rey.
Oh, hey guys.
Was quick to dismiss the large blip as a dozen of B-17 bombers arriving from San Francisco. But
Sorry, I
he
had to
was
take a picture of my dog.
sorely wrong. Sorely wrong. So back to Operation K. March 4th, 1942. Much like the first attack, the U.S. picked up chatter of the operation date. There was codes being transmitted. They kind of had an idea that something was going to happen. Again, an American radar station on Kauai, later Oahu, picked up and tracked two planes as they approached the main Hawaiian islands.
Okay. Real quick. Doesn't Hawaii have a large Japanese population?
No. That's Saipan. Ask me how I know.
Is it maybe because you've been there?
John, you were to Saipan?
Yeah. How about you?
I think I was too. Oh, twice.
Oh my god.
Now, John, you remember these consolidated PBY Catalinas?
Yeah.
The flying boat?
I flew one.
Dude. Flight
Easy to
19.
fly.
Flight 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flight 19, bro. Duh.
All right, these two Catalinas were sent out the
Fucking Catalina wine mixer.
You know what? My favorite tortilla chip is those Cantina tortilla chips.
Same thing.
They're really, really thin and crispy. They're very good.
Just
They're
imagine
Tostitos.
Japanese
Not
guy
sponsored.
flying a tortilla ship through
not
the air.
sponsored. We're not getting paid for that.
That's why they lost the war. This motherfucker was flying. He's eating these Cantina chips.
He was like, oh, I thought you said Cantina.
Those are American flying boats.
Anyways.
We won the war.
America.
America, fuck yeah.
So they were sent out
to save the motherfucking day, yeah.
Happy birthday, America, tomorrow.
Suck it, England.
America.
You heard
This
me.
was a good topic for this week.
Suck it, England.
Bwah, 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 bwah.
So to all of our British listeners,
Suck it.
I'm hearing all sorts of things wrong today because I literally just heard you say, so Chihuahua British listeners.
I did not say Chihuahua.
That's you. He's a Chihuahua British listener because he's a Chihuahua Jack Russell.
Well, so
sorry.
These flying boats were sent out to find the Japanese aircraft carriers because they assumed that if there were Japanese planes incoming, that they had to take off from aircraft carriers.
No way.
What?
Really?
But they didn't.
But wait,
just fast forward to the end where there's like fireworks. We blew them up. All the Japanese are dead. We bombed them.
What? Listen,
suck it.
I don't want to talk to you.
Some fireworks.
Listen, I literally just told you that I watched a new anime today, and I love it. I don't want to destroy Japan.
Okay, but
we're over this part of. This was a phase. It's over now.
We're friends, John.
We're friends.
We're friends now.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
really?
You went to Saipan.
That's not anywhere near Japan.
You were in what airport?
Sounds the same.
We were in Korean airport.
You were in a Japanese airport.
We were in Korean airport.
You were in a Japanese airport.
Yes, that was.
We were in the Korean one longer.
Actually, I was in the Narita airport for 24 hours both ways.
Yeah. So.
When I went the first time.
You're wrong, John.
Did I tell you about the fishball soup that I had in Korea?
Oh, that was good.
Did I?
You try me.
I smelled it.
No, you didn't.
I smelled it. You were burping it up all day.
Did I tell you guys that you were in Saipan?
No.
We're just going to have to do an episode called We Were in Saipan.
And
memories.
We'll just compile all the times that you guys have said, so well, we were in Saipan. And that'll be the episode.
You should do that. That would be funny.
Anyways, the aircraft carriers, they
were looking for the aircraft carriers.
There was none.
There was none, no. A thick layer of nimbus clouds.
Are they the stringy ones or the fluffy ones?
Fluffy.
There you go.
Nimbus. They're whiskey. Whiskey.
No. You're thinking of the word wispy?
Yeah, whiskey.
And that's the other
Whiskey.
one.
Those are
cumulonimbus.
Something, isn't it?
I don't know. You got a computer right there.
Types
We're never
of
going to get through this episode.
clouds. You're using a lot of words.
This is going to have to be 2 episodes.
Types of clouds charts. We're almost done. It's fine.
We're on page 2 of 8. This is the longest one yet.
That's because you guys just nimbostratus,
Stradivarius,
altostratus are the wispy clouds.
Stradivarius,
and cirrus.
Stradivarius are the kind that sound like violins.
And there's also stratocumulus.
What about a thunderclap?
Wow, this is insane. There are so many different types of clouds and so many things that go into it. Next episode.
Can we just say that there was a layer of clouds over Pearl that prevented the defenders...
Thick clouds.
Condensation.
3 Cs.
...from spotting the Japanese because they were flying at an altitude of 15,000 feet.
Which is 4,600 meters. That wasn't on the paper, I just did the calculations.
So, those were some of the American issues. The Japanese issues for Operation K, they only had 2 of the 5 flying boats. That they were planning on 5. They only had 2 of them. Pilot Lieutenant. You do the Japanese
Lieutenant
names.
Dan?
Which one? Hisao Hashizumi.
Yeah.
He smelled like cigarettes.
Hashizume.
He was in command of the mission. And Ensign Lex Sosuke
Shosuke Sasao.
Yeah. He was flying the second plane. From mainland Japan, they flew to Saipan in the Northern Marianas Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know we were there?
Yes.
Okay.
Ow.
Then they went to... What's that?
This is not Japanese. I was actually looking it up. Because I'm not 100% sure. The Marshall Islands.
No.
Yes. In the Marshall Islands.
What's that?
Yes. In the Marshall Islands.
No, you gotta read it.
Whatchi?
Wotje Atoll in the Marshall Islands.
Woja.
Woja, Watchi.
It's Marshallese.
Okay.
You should be able to speak it.
Well, when they got to the Marshall Islands, they were loaded with 550 pounds of bombs. There they flew 1,900 miles to French frigate shoals to refuel from submarines. So
French faggot shoals.
There were 5 submarines involved in this whole thing. The I-9 was assigned to take up station midway between Woje and the shoals, and act as a radio beacon so that they could communicate to each other. They would communicate through the...
And I-9 is also something that you fill out for your taxes.
The I-19, I-15, and I-26 will refuel the flying bolts at the shoal. Delete. The I-23 was then on standby 10 miles south of Pearl Harbor, providing weather reports and acting as air-sea rescue. The I-23 was lost sometime after February 14th. And some backstory in the I-23. This the Japanese submarine participated in raids on the west coast of California as well. Prior to this,
is it this specific one?
This exact submarine, and
okay.
At the end of this, I put some other attacks on U.S. soil during World War II, and I think it talks about this as part of that mission. Sundown, 1st January, I-23 attempted to conduct periscope reconnaissance off Palomar Island, but came under gunfire. Commander
Shibata
decided to withdraw the I-23 and make another try the next evening. On January 3rd, I-23 arrived at the Hawaiian Islands 2 days later, departing for
Kwajalein?
Kwajalein.
I'm not sure. I don't even know where that is. Kwajalein?
On February 24th, 1942, at 23:30, I-23 transmitted her last report from the Hawaiian Islands. So now they're in the Hawaiian Islands. They're sending weather reports back, and this sub just disappeared. So they're presuming that it got picked up and destroyed by American ships.
So we're clear. This is still this departing for that Kwajalein or whatever it is.
That's prior.
That's still in the Marshall Islands.
Kwajalein? Mm-hmm. Okay. So they probably went to rendezvous in Kwajalein and then headed to Hawaiian waters.
Yes, I think.
So on the 24th is, they said sometime after the 14th, but on another site that I was looking at, it gave the 24th as their last transmission. So presumably the 24th is the day it went missing.
Okay.
Japanese cryptanalysts had broken the U.S. Navy weather code because I guess they were sending codes to the weather as well. Mm-hmm. So they were going by the code that they had before, but on March 1st, the code changed. And so they had no new information about the weather in the area from that sub after the 24th because it disappeared and then the code changed. So by the time they got anybody else in the place, it'd be a brand new code. They'd have to break the code again.
Right. So they'd be adding how much time on?
Right. But they still didn't know what had happened. They just thought this sub went dark.
Right. Like AWOL.
Yeah. Again, the American radio station on Kauai picked up and tracked the 2 planes on their approach. This prompted Curtiss P-40 Warhawk fighters to begin searching for the 2 contacts. And then the Catalinas went searching for the carriers.
I don't know about you. I am totally lost. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
It's just because there's a lot of pieces in play.
Well, I get that.
Because you got to think there's a lot of pieces in play because they've already done this one other time. They have to do something a little bit different. They need, all these things to fall into place where they're supposed to, and all of a sudden, one of those pieces, the information that they were getting about the weather, is gone.
You lost me. Sorry.
Simple mind.
These are the mistakes that happened.
Yes.
That caused this mission to not be a success.
Or
it was
commonly known as a failure.
Well, no, it wasn't a complete failure because it made the Americans think, hey, we could be attacked.
Well, right, but that's still a failure on their part because now we're like, ooh, we could be attacked again. Might have to do something about that. Without the mission succeeding, there's more chance for their enemies to prepare properly.
I'm just so retarded. I think there's so many pieces to this. I can't.
Oops.
It's hard for me to,
There are a lot of pieces.
I'm the kind of guy that's got to read a book like 20 times.
You're just not a military man. We understand. You're just.
Should I tell you the story?
Not a attack John. A tactical John.
Attack Johns.
Not attack, but like a tack. Like a tactical John.
Johns.
John. Anyways. That dog. He's just living his best life. That's what he wanted me to do, and I just wouldn't do it.
He's still shaking.
Mm-hmm. I love that little thing so much. Look how cute it is.
Anyways, Michael.
The Catalinas.
Well, no, the same cloud cover that was fucking up the American pilots, not so they couldn't find the non-existent carriers or the two contacts, had the Japanese pilots off course as well.
Everybody's just like, what are we doing?
So the two stupid round that I can't find that fucking off course.
The two Japanese planes got separated. They lost sight of each other, and they could only see small patches of the island through the cloud cover. So
Hashizumi, maybe.
He wasn't able to see Pearl Harbor. He dropped 4 of his bombs on the slopes of
Tantalus
Peak, between 2 and 2:15. They landed near a school, which was empty because it was Sunday and it was nighttime. And that's about 5 to 10 miles from Pearl. I'm guessing on that. I was just looking at a map. Sasau, according to historians and officials, is assumed to have dropped his bombs in the ocean, either off Waianae or near the sea approaching Pearl Harbor. Both Emilys left Pearl, flew to the Marshall Islands. Susia, returned as planned to the Marshall Islands. Watui.
Well, I think it's Wuja.
Hasumi, when he took off from the French shoals, his plane was damaged, so he didn't think he could get the necessary repairs at
the Marshall Islands,
the atoll.
The first atoll.
So he flew to another atoll, which I can't pronounce.
Also in the Marshall Islands. Jalui? Like, I'm thinking like Inuit. It has the UIT.
So...
Jalui?
Him flying back to that other atoll.
Back to the new one. Their home base.
It made that the longest bombing mission in history to that point.
Like, we got lost. Sorry, guys.
So they went and they dropped their bombs. It hits a hillside.
Excuse me.
Does little damage to a school. And no Americans were hurt. No anything.
No casualties.
No casualties. The raid raised a few fears of possible Japanese invasion of Hawaii, but there were no American casualties. Japanese media repeated unsubstantiated radio broadcasts from L.A. radio. Of course, American media got it wrong. Of considerable damage to Pearl, with 30 sailors and civilians dead and 70 wounded. That's what they were reporting in the United States.
Okay, but here's the thing. That I-23 went missing. So they could technically be considered casualties.
Not American casualties.
No. But in this recounting, it does not specify down here
Yes.
that they were saying
30 sailors.
30 sailors and civilians dead and 70 wounded.
No American casualties.
Yeah, there says no American casualties.
Well, that's what they were talking about. The U.S. would not be broadcasting Japanese casualties on a failed raid. They'd be...
Well, right, but at this point they say they're thinking like, oh, it's not a failed raid, they got it wrong.
Right, they said considerable damage to Pearl.
Weird.
They were reporting American losses, not Japanese losses. The Army and the Navy both blamed each other for the explosions, accusing each other of jettisoning munitions into Tantalus.
Why would they do that, though?
Who knows? Another Japanese reconnaissance mission was scheduled for the 6th or the 7th of March, but it was canceled due to various reasons. Delay of launching the first raid, because when they went to take off, there was a delay because of weather.
Right. One of the planes was damaged.
The damage to Hatsumi's plane.
Hashizu.
Yeah, Hashizu. And the exhaustion of the aircrew from such a long sortie.
Right.
They did carry one out on March 10th, but Hasumi was shot down and killed by a Brewster F-2A Buffalo.
I know that was like a weird, oh no, but like I feel like I know him now.
Yes.
I've said his name a lot. I feel like he's my friend now.
Another follow-up raid was scheduled for May 30th to gain intel on U.S. aircraft carrier positions prior to the Battle of Midway. In the meantime, American forces had become aware the French frigate shoals were a possible Japanese rendezvous point, and naval patrols were increased. So the plan was canceled when the Japanese subs found the area was mined and spotted 2 American warships there.
Good. Like, I don't know, bro. Go away. We got things to do.
So, that's the second attack on Pearl Harbor. This other stuff I have here are all other attacks that were perpetrated on American soil during the Second World War. And there was like 5 main ones.
What about those balloons they sent over here?
That's one of them. That's where we go, right? This one. The fire balloons. So, what do you know about that one?
Balloons came over here, wasn't very successful, blew up.
Okay.
They used the, the fuck's that,
So nothing.
No, what the hell is that, the northwesterly winds? They sent them up there because they would eventually come over here.
Yes. 3-day journey.
That's a long time.
The Japanese fire balloons, starting in 1944, the Japanese military constructed and launched over 9,000 high-altitude balloons loaded with 50 pounds of anti-personnel and incendiary explosives. They were launched from 5,000 miles away in the Japanese home islands.
Wow.
They were specially designed hydrogen balloons to go to an altitude of 30,000 feet, ride the jet stream across the Pacific, and into the United States mainland.
So weird.
The bombs were triggered to drop after a 3-day journey was complete.
So it didn't matter where they were.
No, they didn't care where they just wanted to scare the American public.
Right.
By saying, "Oh, we attacked you on your soil."
Right.
And they were hoping it would be over a city or a wooded area that would catch fire. 350 of those balloons actually made it across the Pacific.
Wow. Michigan and Iowa.
Yeah. Several were intercepted and shot down by the U.S. military. In 1944 and 1945, balloons were spotted in 15 states as far east as Michigan and Iowa.
That's insane, considering where they came from.
Yeah. And the only fatality was a pregnant woman and 5 children who were killed in an explosion when they came across one of the downed balloons.
Oh.
Yeah. Their deaths are considered the only combat casualties to occur on American soil during World War II.
That sucks. Like, I don't know. That just, like... I don't like that. It's just not very nice.
This one I had heard of before. This Operation Pastorius.
Pastorius.
Pastorius. What does that word mean?
Pastorius?
Yes.
Sorry, I just had to wake up my computer.
I know I've heard the word before.
Wake up, computer, wake up.
What? I don't know.
It was like a Greek
Shepherd.
Isn't it like
It's a surname.
constellation?
It might be.
It's a common occupational name for a shepherd. The surname Pastorius is derived from the Italian word pastor, which literally means shepherd. It originally comes from the Latin word pastorius or pastorino, which means pastor.
So, 8 Nazi saboteurs were dropped in 2 4-man crews on the coast of New York and Florida by U-boats in 1942. Each team carried $84,000 and enough explosives to wage a long campaign of sabotage. They were tasked with sabotaging the war effort and demoralizing the civilian population through acts of terrorism. Their orders were to attack transport hubs, hydroelectric plants, and industrial facilities. Before a single act of sabotage could take place, the mission was compromised by when John Dausch, one of the saboteurs of the New York group, turned himself into the FBI. He was heavily interrogated, but after 2 weeks, the FBI
Rounded.
Yeah, it sounded.
They
sounded up the remaining.
Weird.
Rounded up the remaining saboteurs. 6 of the men were executed as spies, while Dausch and an accomplice were jailed for 6 years and then deported by Harry S. Truman. But I had heard that one before.
I wonder why they named it that.
I don't know. Why do they name any operation what they name it?
Sometimes you can kind of tell by like what the plan was, like what they were going to do, or like what they were trying to do. I don't really feel like you can with this one. Yeah. So it seems like most of like the attacks were supposed to be like bombing attacks, where like they were not actually.
No, they weren't large scale operations.
Right.
They were very small scale guerrilla type things. This one was 1942, a float plane. Now, a float plane is a plane that
Floats?
Nope, it does not. It might have floaties on the bottom, but what they do is they put them in subs. They put them in the nose of subs, and then there's a cargo bay that opens up, and they put this plane together and it could take off from the sub.
That's pretty cool.
So these float planes were dropping incendiary bombs in Oregon State Forest near Brookings, Oregon. The first and only air attacks on U.S. mainland. The attacks were launched from sub I-25, used light aircraft, blah, blah, blah. Thanks to light winds and quick response by fire patrols, the bombing failed to have its desired effect, as did the second bombing later that month. The president immediately called for a news blackout of the incident for sake of public morale.
So, like, as in, like, they didn't talk about it.
See, I heard about this one too. The float plane pilot,
Nobuo Fujita,
would later make several goodwill visits to Brookings in the 60s, and was even proclaimed an honorary citizen after he died in 1997. I actually heard about this. I was watching a program and saw this, where every year on the anniversary of his bombings, he would come and visit the town because he felt bad about what they were doing.
Right, and I think that's important to remember too with stuff like this is that, like, yeah, it was horrible and awful and nobody should have taken part in it, but it's like, yeah, you're kind of guilty by, like, not stopping it or not doing anything. But, like, some of these people are genuinely, like, regretful. We're genuinely, like, regretful.
And the town actually welcomed him with open arms. When he came and they knew who he was, like, they were very welcoming to him. And
yeah.
So it was pretty cool. The Duquesne spy ring, this was, it started in the late 30s. So before we were even in the war.
Yeah.
30 men, 3 women stole military secrets regarding the bomb sites used in American aircraft and gained the sighting mechanism. There was some new sighting mechanism in the bombers, and they stole plans for that and gained significant intelligence on American shipping patterns, which they later used to the freight that they were sending over to Europe. They were able to disrupt some of the supply routes. The ring was started and busted before the U.S. entered the war. The ring was busted in 1941 with the help of double agent William Siebold. All members were convicted and sentenced to a total of 300 years in jail. Just days after the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
That's awesome that they, like, actually were able to, like, stop them before we even entered the war.
There's a movie that references this, and I think who's the guy from Ghostbusters?
Which one?
The heavyset guy.
Was a heavyset guy.
Maybe I'm not thinking of Ghostbusters.
Do you mean the Michelin Marshmallow Man?
No. I can't think of the actor's name. Anyway, he was in a movie where they talked about the Battle of Los Angeles. But February 23rd, 1932, a Japanese...
Dan Aykroyd?
Dan Aykroyd.
He's all into aliens.
He's fucking crazy, dude. We should do an episode on him. He's insane. We should get his vodka.
No, his vodka sucks.
Well, yeah, I know, but we just need it for the show.
It's expensive and it sucks.
I know. No, they filter it with dye.
Yeah. It felt like it was filtered through someone's ass in New Jersey.
Yeah, probably was.
The Japanese sub I-17 slipped into a channel near Elwood oil field outside Santa Barbara. From the gun deck, they lobbed 16 shells at Elwood Beach before submerging and fleeing into the ocean, causing only minor damage to the oil field. Pump house and a single oil derrick was destroyed. It did spark panic. Days later, reports of enemy aircraft led to the so-called Battle of Los Angeles, in which American artillery was discharged over Los Angeles for several hours due to people thinking the Japanese were invading.
That's gotta be fucking scary.
This one's actually pretty funny. June 12, 1942 is the only attack on American military site during World War II. Japanese sub I-25 followed a American fishing vessel into port so it could bypass the minefields because they knew where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Made its way up the Columbia River, surfaced near Fort Stevens. It was an antiquated army base that dated back to the Civil War. Or the Civil War. Just before midnight, it fired 17 shells from its deck gun. The Fort Stevens commander ordered the men not to return fire because they were off target. And they thought if they returned fire, they'd know exactly where to fire. So they just let them shoot.
I mean, if they're not hitting anything.
Well, the only thing that was damaged was a baseball field nearby the base.
As if that's difficult to repair. It's dirt and sand.
This is the same sub that was responsible for the Oregon firebomb.
That's pretty funny.
Those were the only attacks on U.S. soil that I found. The 5 main ones. There might have been more, but those 5 were it.
Yeah.
So second attack on Pearl Harbor.
Well, that's a lot of information that I did not know at all.
Yes.
Ouch. I especially like the one where they were like, I don't know, just let them shoot the baseball field, I guess.
just go ahead and bomb the baseball
That's
field.
pretty funny.
Whatever. You guys, go ahead, have fun. Get your anger out. Like, did they just leave after that? They were just like,
They submerged and left.
all right, we're done, bye.
Well, they don't know what they hit because there were lights on shore, and they were shooting towards the lights.
Were they just the field lights?
I don't know.
See, I remember they didn't have a lot of money. Like towards the end, they have their rifles. Their rifles didn't even have sights on them. They were cranking them out so fast. Like there was because I used to have an Arasaka. It was their bolt action rifle, and just the mill work on them they were all chewed up because they didn't have time to finish them up. No sights. The wood was crappy. They left a bunch of their original shit out. Like there was a dust cover that was gone. It was just they didn't have money.
They were just poorly made. They wanted them
Very
fast
poorly
and
made.
cheap.
Yeah, and they cut off a lot of funding to. I guess back in the day, there was a lot of trade between Japan and the islands and everything, and there was some like big problem between bananas that they cut off.
Bananas?
So I guess in World War II, during World War II, like bananas weren't existent in the States. Like you couldn't get bananas.
Well, because they all came from someplace else.
Well, right, but they controlled the shipping lanes.
Right, that's what I mean.
Cut that off, and
that sucks. I don't know if I could live in a world without a banana.
I could.
I like bananas. I don't like banana flavored things, but I like bananas.
There are.
Bananas are pretty good. I do like banana desserts. Bananas Foster, delicious. Banana cream pie, so good.
I'd rather have a milkshake with Butterfingers crushed up in it.
I'm gonna go get a milkshake.
I just saw that when I was getting gas at Sheetz. They had the sign there, and it was a Butterfinger milkshake. I was like, oh.
I like the Snickers milkshakes.
Reese's Pieces, I'll take them.
Yeah, I like Reese's milkshakes too. Peanut butter milkshakes are always good.
I went to Rita's and I got their Blendini or whatever it was. No, they called it a concrete. This is a milkshake.
Yeah.
Their custard, and I had them put Reese's peanut butter cups in it, Snickers, and Nilla wafers. Oh, that's fucking good.
Hell yeah, brother.
That sounds good.
We need milkshakes now.
I'm not eating that stuff.
Okay. By we, I mean me and Ollie. So.
Oh. I thought you were going to buy me a milkshake. My bad.
A big bowl of scalloped potatoes right now.
I love scalloped potatoes. Oh my gosh. I'm going to get potatoes and milkshakes. You guys have fun not having any fun. I've lost 15 pounds since the beginning of the year.
So you have to make it up, or
I just don't eat a lot. I don't eat as much as I used to, but I still have things that I want.
Is he sleeping?
His eyes are closed, yes. Podcast therapy dog. More like self-therapy dog. He therapied himself to sleep. Maybe it's a dog therapy John.
It's the rocking motion.
I do that to him all the time. He's used to it.
So anyway, without further ado, that is the second attack on Pearl Harbor and some other attacks on the United States from World War II.
Today, we took on the second attack on Pearl Harbor. Now you go take on the world.
Stealing my thunder. Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that.
Even flirters who
who are obviously mentally ill.
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.